you can bet I'm prepared for anything. And that's no lie, spotlight's on you, so you know it's showtime. But you can bet I'm prepared for anything. And that's no lie, spotlight's on you, so you know it's showtime.
Washington, D.C. I ask, what can my country do for me? Greed, war, poverty. Somebody tell me, how can this be? This goes out to the people of the nation. Go on and get yourself the voter registration. It's time for some new legislation. I vote, I know I can change things with the tip of my finger. I vote 'cause I know I can change things with the tip of my finger.
What's the use? Show me some proof. What's the be of me and minds if I get in this booth? Good question for the ever-rising youth. Show me a politician who's been telling me the truth. So if you got the feeling, rise up and give it. Knowledge is power to the people. No limits, take no givens. Expose lies hidden. Turn off your television and make it a good decision. Go.
When the world spins out of control, I think it's time to step up to the pole. Ain't only one way to make a choice. Stand up and use my voice. Gonna call the Congress all the time, tell them what's on my mind. In the Senate and the House, I want a leader, not allowed. Call me crazy, but it's true. Oh, it's up to me. So pick up the phone, dial it in, your favorite number, government. I vote, I know I can change things with the tip of my finger. I vote 'cause I know I can change things with the tip of my finger.
I got this feeling something could change, but if I do nothing, the things remain same. So I stimulate the brain on what they got to say, and read between the lines to figure the best way. Choose your side if you're gonna ride. Make your claim, take nothing short of the truth. State your name for the record so they know you came. Remind them who you are, strong. You possess no shame.
I vote 'cause I know
But you know.
I can change things with the tip of my finger. I vote 'cause I know I can change things with the tip of my finger. From the tip of my
of this for you folks. How we doing? What's going on down there in the YouTube listening lounge? I see Gigi down in there. How you doing? Good to see you. You got a one for me there, Gigi? Can you hear me loud and clear? Alrighty, thank you so very much. Well, what's on the agenda today? You folks seen it. You see the topics. We're going to talk about Kanye West. We're going to talk about the Woman King towards the end. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this thing called Vox to vote. Basically, in a way, what they're saying is, I'm going to try and keep this as clean as I possibly can. But what they're saying is, ladies, withhold sex from your man. Withhold sex from your man at all costs if he's not a registered voter or actively participating in the betterment of the community by getting out to vote. Now I can think of a lot of things that y'all as women can think of not to, you know, in some cases when you're married, take care of that wifely duty. But I never knew as a black man that would be one of the things that would be in opposition of the goodness. If you don't get out and vote, you ain't getting none. Come on, folks. Listen, first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start off with a clip from the 1960s. And believe me, for some reason or other, there's a whole lot of you folks that believe that there's nobody still in existence that lived in the 60s. Y'all act like there's no 80-year-old people out here, no 70-year-old people out here, no 60-year-old people out here, no 55. Everybody on this planet that's black is under the age of 55. Come on. I hear some of you young content creators, and I use that term loosely. You guys spout information that you could only read about or learn about. You see what I'm saying? But first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a little history lesson when it comes to motivating our folks to get out to vote. Okay? Let's look how it used to be done in the 60s and in the 70s and in the 50s versus the next clip that we'll show you of how they want to do it in 2022 and 2021. All right, let's look at this first clip.
Congress passes the most sweeping civil rights bill ever to be written into the law, and thus reaffirms the conception of equality for all men that began with Lincoln and the Civil War 100 years ago. The Negro won his freedom then, he wins his dignity now. 5 hours after the House passes the measure, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is signed at the White House by President Johnson. Before an audience of legislators and civil rights leaders who had labored long and hard for passage of the bill, President Johnson calls for all Americans to back what he calls a turning point in history.
We must not approach the observance and enforcement of this law in a vengeful spirit. Its purpose is not to punish. Its purpose is not to divide, but to end divisions. Divisions which have lasted all too long. Its purpose is national, not regional. This Civil Rights Act is a challenge to all of us to go to work in our communities and our states, in our homes and in our hearts, to eliminate the last vestiges of injustice in our beloved country. So tonight I urge every public official, every religious leader, every business and professional man, every working man, every housewife, I urge every American to join in this effort to bring justice and hope to all our people and to bring peace to our land.
There's warm applause from members of both parties as the president sets to work. It is work. He uses nearly 100 pens to affix his signature and date. Souvenirs go to Republican leader Everett Dirksen and Democratic whip.
Now, some may ask, well, Musiq, why did you start off with a clip about the civil rights? Because it's just the simple things like that. Do you think it's just as hard it was for black people to sit down on the lunch counter in 1965 that they had to invoke laws for us as black people, no matter the age, to be able to freely move about this country, to be able to freely go and vote for the candidate of your choice, even so much so they even turned the Democratic Party, which was actually the Republican Party in reverse right now. They started a whole thing called the Southern Strategy to stop black people from exerting their voting power and privileges. Not only was it the lunch counters, folks, not only was it the buses, not only was it the work discrimination, housing discrimination, this was also voting discrimination. We didn't have black representatives. They didn't have black representatives in the early 80s when we saw folks like Julian Bond and Shirley Chisholm in the early 70s. That was a miracle. But you folks, these YouTube creators, y'all will get on and say, oh, let's forget about the past. Well, how can you expect to move forward when you simply refuse to acknowledge the past with some of the things that you folks are trying to do is recreating the wheel? It doesn't work because it's already been done. But in your zest and your zeal to recreate the wheel, y'all want to put y'all booties on stage, ladies. Black women in particular. Y'all always clamor about respect me. I'm a black woman, I'm a strong black woman. But then I see you posted up and Vox the vote. And listen, no disrespect to those of you who choose the same sex to have relations with, that's on you. But when you do it in public, especially in this format, you invoke conversation from the masses. And I'm one of those masses, so I should be able to freely speak on this matter without insulting you. But black women, let me ask you a question. You always run around saying, we don't want nobody to speak for us. Let me ask you, how do you get a woman, a man that was born a woman, to speak on behalf of black women? How do you, as black women, allow that to continue? I've seen 2 instances of it now, to where Dr. Umar got ambushed by a man posing as a woman. And now we have this Vox the vote where you have another chunky man posing as a woman, shaking his hind parts all over the screen like that's the thing to do to attract black people to get out and vote. Yeah, that's gonna make me wanna vote. Sure. Listen, y'all can say what you want to about the alphabet community. That's on you. You agree or you disagree with it, that's not my business. But what I'm saying is when you put it in the public, you invoke conversation. So don't get mad at me if I don't agree with what your stance is. I prefer women. I don't expect someone to come at me and say, oh, you chose the wrong thing. No, according to the Bible, that's what he pulled from our rib. He didn't say, ooh, Adam was lonely. Let me pull James out his rib. No, he said, let me take Eve and let me create this partner from man so he wouldn't be alone and he could move on and prosper and go forth and prosper. I'm just saying, folks. You know, I trying 2 and 2 together. I try not to mix religion in the bedroom, but sometimes you folks invoke that conversation, so, you know, you can't pick and choose from the Bible. according to y'all. But black women, again, how does it and how is it that y'all allow a transsexual man to speak for y'all? Especially when it comes to women's issues, especially when it comes to, in this case, women's sexual image, women's sexuality versus a man's sexuality, and what you should do or you shouldn't do when it comes to what you do in your bedroom. I thought black women were stronger than that. Independent, as y'all call them. Ain't that right? So now we have an instance of a transsexual man, again, shaking all of his hindquarters all over there, and no black women stand up and saying, oh, that's not right. Now, whether you agree or disagree with whether R. Kelly should be in jail or not, but y'all came out in droves for the Oprah special. Y'all came out in droves when Oprah was trying to get at the cat over there from Def Jam Records, Russell Simmons. Y'all came out in droves when they was talking about Michael Jackson. Matter of fact, I even came out simple. Some of y'all on the YouTube streets came out in droves when they was talking about one particular YouTube streamer that, as they say, did something when he was a child. Y'all came out in droves against another grown man YouTube streamer when they found out that he was dating underage women. But you won't step up for this. Is it that black women, are you starting to, and this is the question, I'm not asking it, this is the question that someone posed to me. Do you think black women are okay with the fact that black men are trying to bar their femininity to become inclusive? I can only answer it as I surely hope not. But anyway, without further ado, folks, let's get to this next clip right here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There's a guy, you might know him from the advice show, Phil from the advice show. Let me make sure I got it pulled up right here correctly. Is this it? Yep. I need my glasses. Stop it. No, that's not it. Hold up. Here we go. The title of this next clip, ladies and gentlemen, is Black people should be outraged. Black voters should be outraged at this disingenuous, disgusting, degenerate, no voting, no bucking video. I'm in agreement with the title. I think it is. I'll talk to black women again. Y'all hate to accuse men, especially straight men, of attacking your sexuality. This is a prime example where some of you women put your sexuality on Front Street. I'm not attacking it, but you put it out there, so I'm gonna speak on it. So without further ado, let's check out this video.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I made a statement in the last podcast where I stated that they're probably going to make a Get Your Booty to the Polls Part 2. And this video that we're going to look at and review, I wish they would have made Get Your Booty to the Polls Part 2 at this point. Oh, no. They stepped up the level of degeneracy and disrespect to black American voters. Now, there was a song just come out, and I didn't even know this until someone in the comment section of the last podcast say, hey, Phil, did you see the no vote, no bucking? Because they put, instead of F, they put the V. I said, what? What is that? So immediately I went to search it out, and boom, there it goes. So if you have not seen this degeneracy and disrespect they have presented to you as black people, let's go ahead and watch this together. Now, Saucy Santana, if you know anything about Saucy Santana, he's LGBT and he's flaming. Okay, he's the one that came out with that song. about the females are talking about let's see you walk, 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 that song, and all them females doing that too? Okay, and you see Trina, fine.
It's voting season, bruh. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. BLK app looking for some action. Swear the homie stop what's happening. Face is a 9, abs a 10. D is a to be determined.
Oh, God. Here we go with the LGBT agenda. We talking about voting. They do this in no other community, folks. No other community. Let's continue.
Got mad jokes. He don't seem broke. The only red flag is that he don't vote. This midterms for all the single cute. Wanna hit this booty, gotta do your civic duty. No.
Oh, God. If you want to hit this booty, you got to do your civic duty.
Come on. If you want to hit this booty, you gotta do your civic duty. Now, from what I understand, ladies, the main thing y'all talk about, and I'm talking about women in general, is protection. I understand to doing your civic duty as part of that, but when, again, I'll ask you, when does a man dressed up, posed as a woman, as Phil said politely, flaming characters speak for black women? First and foremost, why is he in the video trying to elicit straight men, straight children, straight women to watch this video talking about in the booty? And if you look at the video in its entirety, if you go back and stop it and look at the background sometime, you will see there's nothing about images of made up men. These are not women that you are looking at. These are men dressed up as women. Honestly, I think the only woman in this video, don't quote me on it, is Trina. Listen, again, if you're gonna be a man that prefers to dress up as a woman and date other men, that's your business. But don't do it to the point to where you try to be as the devil in disguise, and somebody don't find out until they on the way to the car. That's how you get hurt. But you're not gonna fool me. I know a man when I see one. And I hate to re-emphasize that again, no disrespect, but hell no, you're not gonna fool me. I meant to bring up, I know it's going off subject a little bit, but in your fooling me department, I don't know how many of you folks watched that Jeffrey Dahmer series. Again, that's another clip that I'm going to have to do, but white folks seem to glorify their serial killers, don't they? They always make a movie about them eventually. There's another movie that's just coming out about the white couple that killed their kids and buried them in the backyard. But here we are as black folks having to talk about this. I would much, and I know this might sound morbid, but I would rather be talking about a black serial killer than a grown man getting up on a video dressed up as a woman saying no voting, no loving. Like I said, again, no, that would not entice me to go to the voting poll. If we always talking about boycotting something, why we didn't boycott this? Is this helpful to our children? Why, black women, why y'all ain't stand up in agreement to say, wait, this is some BS right here? I didn't get this clip from the younger generation of black women. I got these clips from women I know that happen to be mature. And they all basically said the same thing about this. What in the world is our young people coming to? And I have to agree with them. What in the world is the millennium and the whatever y'all call yourself, the folks that's born in the 90s and the 2000s, what in the world do y'all be thinking about? Let's get back and watch some more of this.
And we know what Saucy Santana talking about. He talking about Bussy, okay? Where's the video like this for the Hispanic community to get them out the vote? Where's the view? I don't even talk saying the thing like the freaking video. That's funny. Where's the video for the Asian community, the Arab community, the East Indian community, Native American community? You notice that we are always presented.
He's right. Where's it at? Ay, Miguel! Ay, Miguel! Miguel! That's the video that we see when the Latinos are trying to do something funny or trying to bring attention to something. Miguel! Ay, Miguel! But where is the video of the Latin women busting it wide open? Where's the video of the white women busting it wide open? Where is the video of the the alphabet community? That's too many alphabet letters to be saying. But where is the video of them busting it wide open, trying to convince their community to get out and vote? Who approved that message? Who thought, as a politician, that was a good message to send to our young people? Who? I ain't a rich man and I ain't a poor man. But if anybody can show me a video, I'll send you $20 of them busting it wide open, saying get out to vote. You'll probably see a mariachi band or something like that. But I guarantee you're not going to see no twerk videos like the young lady that was twerking at the Capitol or twerking at the monument on Martin Luther King's birthday. Come on now. You think that's how Martin would have celebrated it? Black people, y'all too gullible sometime, man. You know, black women, y'all get mad at folks for saying some of the things they say about you, but just like with the brothers, some of it is true. You always preach ownership, so some of y'all gotta own up to this. Which one of y'all women thought this was a good idea? Ask yourself honestly after looking at this video, say, is that a great representation of getting our black folks to vote? That's gonna change the political landscape. Bust it wide open. No boxing, no vote. Come on, stop it. You don't think that's gonna not cause some hate and discontent up in a household? When the woman tells her husband, you didn't go out and vote last Tuesday, so I ain't giving you none till next year or to the next voting cycle. Yeah, that'll work. For who? And how long? It wouldn't work for me. If I did have a wife, I can guarantee you that. The first time she withheld the goodness for not voting, she'd be voted off. Nope. You are the weakest link. Get your ass on. Because if you fall for that, you'll fall for anything. And I can't have you around me. You're dumb. If that's the reason, if you catch me cheating, okay, don't give me none. If I hit up on you, okay, don't give me none. All these things that I'm saying, legitimately, I don't do, okay? You're not going to, if you come out later, somebody finds some reason to dox me, you're not going to find no records of me beating on women. Okay? But again, like I said in another video, black women, when y'all leave the protection grid, what you expect us to do for you? I guarantee you, somewhere in the clan, they are playing this video right now saying, look at them. Exactly what we said they are. Savages. Sexual overtone being having savages. Flirting their big booties everywhere. Just look at them. Send over some horses. Horses? No, send down a couple of niggers. Remember, that was a point in time they used to treat us like that. But now look at us, doing it for them. Here we go.
Degeneracy. This is because these people think we're so stupid. See, when these people call us monkeys, it's for a reason. They call us monkeys because monkeys are entertained very easily with a whole lot of things. You don't have to put any thought into entertaining a monkey. And unfortunately, some of us act that way when this impresses us. And you know, in the comments section on this video, there are black people that's impressed by this. I'm like, are you freaking serious? Well, let's continue.
Voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. Yeah, don't stop now. Stuff my ballot box again. But my homegirl through. Put the buy in Protestant. Politics be so nasty. Make me wanna flirt ya. Show you how to be a poll worker. Legs in the air, I don't care. Anyone could get it. Universal health care. If you wanna come before the deadline. Come in the jacuzzi, gerrymander this coochie.
Oh God.
Yep. I'm gonna have to beat you to that one, Phil. Oh God. She said, "Hey Shar, how you doing? How you doing?" She said, "Come gerrymander this coochie." Come on. When this video is all over with, I don't have time to go into what gerrymandering is all about. But when this video is all over and you come back into it later and come back for the replay, before you do, go look up what gerrymandering is. Yep. Trina, you know, she started this, I gotta give Trina credit for one thing. She was trash back then, and she's still trash now. Garbage in, garbage out. Whoop whoop. Pull over that butt too fast. Her and what's his name? They changed the landscape, so to speak, of what rap it really is. Go back and look for yourself. Go back and look at Trina's early days and the videos that she used to do. A lot of folks emulized and idolized Trina. Why do you think they got her up here now? Gerrymander this coochie. Half the art, well, I won't say half, but some of the audience that's gonna hear that don't even have no inkling or idea or clue what gerrymandering is all about. That's why I'm telling you to go look it up. And then see if you would like somebody to gerrymander your coochie after you read up on it. I'm just saying.
The Democrats aren't even offering universal health care. What are you talking about? And you say gerrymander this coochie. Now, gerrymandering is a process of how they basically disenfranchise black voters, which is a very, very serious thing to dilute the.
Damn it, Phil, you told on them. You told on them. Well, so basically what she's telling you as a black woman to disenfranchise the black man from the black woman. In a nutshell, break it down to its smallest episode of what the meaning of what she says. Disenfranchise this coochie. Have you ever had, fellas, I'm talking to you now, have you ever walked into the room and the only thing on the bed was the coochie? The woman wasn't there? Not unless you went out and bought one. So in order to disenfranchise of the black man or any man from the coochie, according to Trina's gerrymandering, you got to separate the black man from the black woman. And if you don't get out and vote, that's eventually what's gonna happen. So isn't that gonna lead credence to what the manosphere folks over there be talking about? That the government is helping the black woman run us Negroes out the home. First they did it with welfare, and now they doing it with the alphabet community and gerrymandering coochie. I can hear it the streams now. Trina and the alphabet community, AOK's gerrymandering coochie. That's right. Let's get some more.
Power of black people's vote and make sure the votes are solidified with white people, because white people are developing an apartheid system here in America, the same model that was in South Africa. Even though apartheid's over, still the white minority owns the land and controls the wealth. in this country, they trying to definitely control the wealth, control the money, and also maintain power in them being a minority. And that's a very, very serious issue in America for black Americans. And Trina's up here talking about gerrymander this coochie. Jesus Christ. Once again, and just look at the image, folks. Only our community, only ours that volunteer for this crap. They don't do this to white people to get them to vote. White people, some of them are hesitant to vote too. But where are their artists doing this crap?
And
white people will be enraged.
Where are they?
If they presented this mess to them, but not black folks, and black folks are stupid. Unfortunately, politically, they're stupid.
Okay, that's a better way to say it. That's a better way to say it, folks. I would say in some cases, black folks are ignorant. And when I say ignorant, that's giving them the benefit of the doubt, because ignorance is not knowing. So you can be taught. You know what I'm saying? You can be taught. But in some cases, no matter what you do, there's going to be some people that just don't get what we're talking about. That just won't get the idea that this business of getting up there, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, of shaking your butt and aligning straight black women with the alphabet community in order to put black men in line is not going to work. It's going to backfire. And who's it going to backfire? When we have a legion of young black men that will be out here being feministic all the time. Everything about them is soft. No confrontational skill, no battle skills. Because they're led by visions of men who want to be women. Look at Lil Nas. Look at, what's his name? The guy with the rubber bands in his head. Look at the majority of these young rappers and the image that they portray to these young black people. And if I had my panel up, if I had StreamYard up right now, I would dare someone to come up in there and argue with me about what I'm seeing. Argue with me about what they call drill music. Argue with me about the image that we've seen since the late 90s on into the 90s and the 2000s. The image that we see of women being objectified. And they get mad at you when you see that same video Vixen. Remember Corinne Steffens? Remember how upset she got talking about she was suing people even though she was out there doing the dastardly deed herself and gonna get mad? Because everybody didn't like her book, everybody didn't find her a victim. How you gonna do the dastardly deed to 4 out of 5 dentist survey recommended Corinne Steffens and then write a book talking about how ashamed you felt about it? Stop it. Sympathy's in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. You get none from me. That's like me going into a strip club and seeing the woman up on the stage butt bone naked telling me respect me. Can't do it. I'm not going to call you out your name, but I'm here to be entertained and not for a lecture. I didn't choose this profession. Sorry, truth is truth. Like I said, there's certain ways that you folks want to, don't get this the wrong way, but there's certain ways as a woman you handle women. A man, you handle women, I should say. If a woman presents herself as just to be that feminine, that woman, that energy, that me as a straight man looks for, that's how I'm going to handle her in every way possible. But if she comes at me combative and argumentative and always want to be on TikTok shaking her booty, what respect am I going to give this woman? If every time I open up my Facebook page, instead of seeing a picture of my beautiful wife or girlfriend, I'm seeing a picture of her booted up talking about fellas get at me. Cash at me, and I'll sit up on the screen for hours at a time doing nothing, hoping you get a glimpse of this coochie that I'm trying to ostracize you from with the blocks to vote. Come on, fellas. Y'all with it too. Y'all just as guilty as the women, because guess what? If there was no audience for it, they wouldn't be doing it. I do it for research purposes, don't tell me. Like I said, you gotta do the research now. Let's get at this.
Painting them, just put some music on there, get some celebrities, all them Negroes to get registered and go right down there and vote for Democrat.
voting, no love. No voting, no touch. No voting, no nothing. Can't let me down, gotta stand up for something. No voting, no love.
Now, Saucy Santana's nails are longer than Trina's. Saucy Santana, whole queen.
No voting, no touch. No voting, no nothing. BLK, we gon' stand up for something. Yeah, that's right. No voting, no love. If the coochie is the goal, go hit the pose. Period.
Lord Jesus. Wow. So this is what we doing now? Well, I can tell you that that's kind of dumb, because one thing black folks not doing no time soon is stop having sex. I will say that. But let's kind of talk about this here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kind of talk about this. Put this on the main one we need to focus on here. This is okay in black society as of right now. This is okay. Listen, do whatever lifestyle you want to do, but when it comes to serious issues in the black community, it's okay to play with something like what Soft Santana got going on. You understand? All the issues that they can talk about that's very serious for black people. Where's a one-eyed rap artist to talk about reparations? Can one-eyed rap artist that got some sort of clout come out and make a video talk about reparations? You understand? Like a T.I. or I'm throwing names out. Killer Mike always.
And again, another excellent point, Phil. Where are they at? In a little while, speaking of rappers, you're going to see a rapper of just what my man is talking about. And you'll not once see him talk about reparations. This rapper in particular, black folks, since the days of being a college dropout, black folks have supported this kid in drones. I'm talking about Kanye West. They have supported him in drones to the fact that he is a multi-millionaire. And he got there with the support of black people. But honestly, it's Kanye West as a whole. Show me what he's done for black folks. You guys, well, some of you folks, especially some of you YouTube creators, y'all will get on here and question what Barack Obama did for the blacks, for the black community, for black America. Well, Barack Obama had his hands tied by a Senate that was defying everything that he did. Kanye West, as he tells it, is defined by his own actions. So, as a member, as someone that lived in Chicago, he should know the good parts and the bad parts of it. Is there a hospital in Chicago? Shar, you live in the, I don't know if you mind me saying, but do you live in the Chicago area? Is there a hospital in the Chicago area that has Kanye's name in it? Is there a wing somewhere? Is there a park somewhere that Kanye West put up his money for? So give me an argument for Phil. Give me an argument for me. If there is one, I don't know about it. It's not publicized. But antics like when Kanye West said black slavery was a choice, that black people had a choice to be slaves. But this is the guy that we made a millionaire. This is the guy that we decided to sit back and listen to. Is he a musical, I won't say genius, but is he good at his music? Yes, he is. And I've said this several times, and I'll continue to say this, folks. Charisma itself, in the wrong hands, is a dangerous tool. Think of how many young African Americans, and I'll say because that's what they call our children, African American children, Kanye West has an effect on. Because you don't hear too many grown black men and black women going on saying, I'm going to go buy me some Yeezys. Well, some you do. There's some in that 45, 40, 50 year old bracket that's on YouTube right now. That's all they talk about is their latest brand of tennis shoes. Angry man. But anyway, let's let Phil talk some more there, folks.
Talking about stuff, why he ain't come out and make a record? Ludacris or somebody. He can be a female. It don't matter. Whoever, can somebody do it? If they're going to try to get people to vote through music, well, can we talk about some real issues? Can we talk about the wealth gap? Can we talk about, the police brutality that's still going on, mass incarceration that's still going on? Can you make a song about how slavery is still legal in America? Y'all got the gift of doing this music, and this is what y'all do, some degenerate crap. So all the issues black people have, and so if we don't vote, we don't get none. That's what this is about. Like I said, when these people sit up here and call you monkeys, that's exactly how they treating you. They're not taking you seriously on anything that you say. And unfortunately, in our community, that's all it took. If you want to show this Democrat Party that you mean business, if you want to show this Democrat Party that you're not playing with them, then there needs to be a major backlash to this video, so much to the point that they say, okay, this is a mistake. We need to take that down. And we need to show them on election day that you don't disrespect us like that. This is disrespectful, y'all. This is not funny. This is not a joke. They do this to no other race but black people. No other race. And then you wonder why.
Excuse me, brothers and sisters, please. If someone could just turn off.
King looked out on his people and saw they were in great need. So he did what all great leaders do. He told them the truth.
Will you ignorant niggas please shut the hell up?
He just said what I think he said.
Is this it? This is what I got all those ass whoopings for? I had a dream once. It was a dream that little black boys and little black girls would drink from the river of prosperity, freed from the thirst of oppression. But lo and behold, some 4 decades later, what have I found but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good-for-nothing niggas? And I know some of you don't want to hear me say that word. It's the ugliest word in the English language. But that's what I see now, niggas. And you don't want to be a nigga, cause niggas are living contradictions. Niggas are full of unfulfilled ambitions. Niggas wax and wane. Niggas love to complain. Niggas love to hear themselves talk but hate to explain. Niggas love being another man's judge and jury. Niggas procrastinate until it's time to worry. Niggas love to be late. Niggas hate to hurry. Black entertainment television is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Usher, Michael Jackson is not a genre of music. And now I'd like to talk about soul playing. I've seen what's around the corner. I've seen what's over the horizon. And I promise you, you niggas have nothing to celebrate. And no, I won't get there with you. I'm going to Canada.
Y'all heard what the man said. You niggas have nothing to celebrate. And I gotta agree with him. I know it's just a parody. There, ladies and gentlemen, let me turn this background music down a little bit. I had a little, there we go. Let me turn this down just a little bit more. There we go. I know it's just a parody, but I guarantee you, if Dr. Martin Luther King was alive right now, that's probably exactly what he'd say after he saw that last video. Niggas, y'all get offended when the 2520s call us that. But that's what you're acting like. I didn't say you're acting like black people, because there is a stark difference. But right now, from what I see from this generation of folks that thought that this type video was okay, when you got folks out there like Stacey Abrams, that you got the AOCs and you got the Omar, all these different folks out here, folks, that's out here trying to change it and make a difference. We got a black Supreme Court justice that's already in direct contrast of what's been on the Supreme Court. But instead of looking at that, we come out with a video like this. You know how long it would have took to put a video to say all dreams are possible with a picture of King G. Jackson on it? You didn't need no other background other just on a picture of her with the Supreme Court judge strolling under it. Get out and vote. Is that not a good enough reason? But yet, black women, y'all need to stand up on this one. I can only part you to where the water's at. You come to me with it all you want to. But I gotta say, to be quite honest with you, I'm disappointed at what I see. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I am absolutely positively sure that I'm not the only one. Let me, it looks like I'm getting a message here, so let me go check this message out here right quick. But anyway, let's get to the next episode here of what we're gonna do in the chop shop there, ladies and gentlemen. Kanye West was on Tucker Carlson. Yes, he was. He decided the best way to get his message out to the people, well, listen, I'm not gonna say anything, folks. Y'all gotta see this for yourself. Y'all gotta take a listen. If you haven't seen him on Tucker Carlson, y'all have to take a listen to this and ask yourself, why do we put folks like this up in front of white America to speak for us? Now, as far as this music concerned, hey, do what you do. But now you're on a platform that's saying that you have all the answers. Listen for yourself and tell me if you don't find this confusing or concerning.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He has also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family. But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a T-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform. Shock, horror, rage. "There is no excuse for this," thundered the New York Times. "West is legitimizing extremism," shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the T-shirt about? No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill. Too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here. But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you. He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to. That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His free-form social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions right onto Instagram. The effect can be jarring and is often used as ammunition against him in the battle for influence over the minds of America's young people. And that battle is intense. But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself. Here it is. So you just came from Paris Fashion Week. You just landed, and you have a lanyard still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen, I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses.
Now, how true is Kanye's facts and figures of what he said, that 50% of the black children in New York City, or 50% of the women that get pregnant in New York City end up in an abortion? How true is that? Has anyone done the research on that? Well, I just happen to know for a fact, and I mean, this is not reported by me, but I think the CDC itself says this, that 60% of the abortions in this country are had by young white American women between the ages of 18 and 35. Do black women have abortions? Of course they do, because if you look at the communities as a whole that we live in, there are not fertility clinics in our neighborhoods. They are, as they say, you know, you don't know what to call them. Yeah, but do these clinics encourage childbirth? No, they don't. They say, hey, you know, if you get an unwanted pregnancy, we'll make it quite easy for you to get an abortion. And listen, Kanye stands on abortions. That's his right to. If he's pro-life, that's his right to. If I'm pro-life, that's my right to. If I'm for a woman's autonomy, that's my right. Actually, I tend to lean to that stance of I have no right as a man to tell a woman what she can do with her body. And in the case of, like, with Herschel Walker here, I mean, the audacity of Herschel Walker to pay for abortions, to deny the very woman that he said that the abortion was, like, he didn't know her, but come to find out, he asked the woman to have 2 abortions. She refused the last abortion. Now they have a 10-year-old son. How do you forget that? How do you get on national TV, on Fox News, with this very same reporter, as he calls himself, and state blatant lies and think that I'm going to take Kanye West seriously on your same channel? Because notice at the beginning of this, when the guy said, and for the soul of America's youth. No, he wasn't, because if you go back, and they weren't talking about for the souls of white America's youth. They were talking about for the souls of black children. Like it or not, if you go back and look at the overall body of work that Tucker Carlson, by no stretch of the imagination would you consider him a champion of the black folk. None. So, but just to think about this guy again, Kanye West, said that slavery was a choice. That decided that he had no stance on fathers leaving their children, on single mothers, until he was a victim of the very same tragedy that goes throughout this country. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some folks out there that get exactly what they deserve. That's not here for me to pull an argument, but what I'm saying is, folks, when you are a public figure like Kanye West is, when you're talking about you want to influence things and you're looking for things to influence, there's two perfect opportunities that I just gave you. Go and work with the court system to refine and realign that child support system that you know swallows up a lot of folks. Black men, brown men, white men, swallows them up whole. You know that's not a perfect system, but where was Kanye West's stance on that until? Where was his stance on that until he was a victim of it, or he became embroiled in it? That's the best way. I won't call him a victim because the body of Kim Kardashian says it all. You should have known better. No disrespect, but no, would I ever made Kim Kardashian a wife? Never. But hey, if you like it, I love it. Let's get back to it.
So I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet.
Did you hear that backhanded slap? I'm starting to see why they want you to be quiet, because you ain't opened up your mouth here in 2 seconds already. What in the world are you talking about? Look at the expression of Tucker Carlson's face. I see why they don't want you to talk.
When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office, and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I liked Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then. You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And
now let's look at Trump as a whole. How could you call yourself a godly man, Kanye? How could you say that you support things of the Bible? These are actual documented things that Kanye, you can't, you see, you can't say that I'm wrong about these. I want to thank all the folks that's tuning in, but Kanye, no, you can't get me on this one, because these are documented pictures. How can you say? How? Done taking into consideration, folks, this video was not done in 2020, on 2016, or 2015.
I'm like, you know, okay, green light me then. You know, God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, you thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath.
See, there goes another one of those things. If you don't even have to be an avid reader of the Bible to know that Kanye could have cut that whole conversation that he had, and he could have made it make absolute sense by saying, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's all he had to do. You see what I'm saying? For those, like I say again, charisma, folks, is a dangerous tool in the hands of the right person. Now, again, Kanye could have left it just as what I just said. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And he would have still kept it in the realm of, I'm a firm believer that my God has me. But But yet, listen to how he takes this further. But then again, when he says, before we go into it, remember how he says, you were a target if you wore a MAGA shirt or a MAGA hat. Black people been a target for years, Kanye West, for just being black. Have you ever thought of that? Black people has been targets for years just for being black, nothing other than the color of their skin. So what do you think when you now accentuate your blackness with a known racist, i.e. Trump? Folks can say what you want to. History is history. Go back and look at it. If it walked like a duck, quacked like a duck, got tails and feathered like a duck, and swims, it is a duck. And no one on the face of this planet can convince me that Donald Trump is not a devout racist. Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And what happened on January 6th? But Kanye, this is the guy that you supported, talking about Yeezy, and Jesus. This is the guy that you supported, brother man.
And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter t-shirt, which you brought out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
You know, I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. You know, like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin. Yeah. She was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format.
Now, I know this is being kind of petty there, folks, but let me say something. Of all the skaters that he could have brought up, why in God's green earth would he bring up Tanya Harding? There's no Debbie Thomas. There's no black great figure skaters. But he brings up Tanya Harding. Tanya Harding did what? Paid somebody to beat up her competition. Paid somebody to beat up her competition in order to win. Here we go, another instance of a bad reference to prove a point. You used Trump earlier, now you're using Tanya Harding. So you wonder why Kanye West, black people as a whole, question your sanity and who you are and what you stand for. Tanya Harding? Really? Tanya Harding. That's who you come up with.
Format. And that's what's happening is God is like preparing us for the real battles. And we are in a battle with the media. Like the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and their jokes are not working. This whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, you know, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening, and they stay quiet about it.
What have they?
I want to answer the white. Yeah. I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Harding about the White Lives Matter. You know, my dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, "Dad, what do you think it was funny?" He said, just a black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And, you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas. And he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like, my dad is the most brilliant person that I know. And we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a
Kim is a Christian, but she go around people that want her to put her ass out. That's what he says. Well, Kanye, I'm gonna take you back to a couple months ago, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, where Kim, your ex-wife, and her mother formulated a plan to make it seem like that there was still another video sex tape out there that you was about to unleash to the public. Now, according to a lot of sources, that is not true. But your wife decided, at that time, your wife decided to say that it was his. Is that something that a Christian, godly person would do? I think not. But see, somebody always calling at the wrong time. Anyway. Who's that calling me? Anyway, it made me lose my train of thought. But anyway, Kanye. So again, here's another instance of folks saying that somebody was influenced by something. Nobody had to influence your ex-wife Kim Kardashian to do a sexual video with Ray J. No one had to convince her to be a sexual partner. Several rappers in Hollywood, remember, her claim to fame before that, Kanye West, was the lackey for Rod Stewart's daughter. Before the alleged release of this videotape that Ray J went along with for the longest time, saying that he released it. Come to find out, your wife did. Your ex-wife did. But she's holier than thou. Let you tell it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything here about Kanye West or his personal life that they haven't put out in the news. It can be documented. Don't shoot the messenger. Let's go back and get some more.
Year-old multi-billionaire with 4 black children. And this is how fashion wants to, how they want to present her. So I know you give these questions and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt, White Lives Matter, it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, you know, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So.
And see, that's the dangerous part. Kanye just stated the obvious. As an artist, as a content creator, to some of us think you don't have to be right. All you got to do is say it. And enough people, if you say it loud enough, or if you say it long enough people will fall in line. And this is the case. This is what went on with Kanye West, folks. Say what you want to. But this is what Kanye West did. He said it long enough and he said it loud enough to folks finally started paying attention. And when we did start paying attention to Kanye West, we found him to be a little bit off his rocker. Especially after his mother passed away. We never heard about Kanye talk about his father. When? Can anybody pull up me a video prior to this that Kanye West talked about how good a dad he had? Can anybody? No. From what I understand, him and his pop was estranged. All of a sudden, he's on Tucker Carlson praising the man because he said something about a White Lives Matter t-shirt. Well, let me say something to you. Like I said before, folks, name me one thing that black folks got that white folks eventually don't get a hold of, hijack, or call their own. So let me explain the differences between the B and the W of Black Lives Matter and White Lives Matter. White Lives Matter is just that. Of course they do. All lives matter. But in the instance of BLM, we made this a focal point because we're not, as black people, we're not on a level playing field. We see it in the news that our young black men are being arrested. They're being murdered. They're being stopped, frisked, and searched at alarming rates. The statistics say that out of every 10 car stops, traffic stops, 6 of them behind the wheel was an African American person. We make up, we're in the top 5. I think we're number 1 when it comes to incarceration. So we as black people make up 13% of the population, but yet we make up almost half of the prison population. But yet folks still want to believe that all black people are inherently criminals because of that statistics. No, it's because the justice system itself, the judicial system itself, tends to cover both eyes. Lady Liberty tends to cover both eyes when it comes to fair and equal justice. Case in point, a white man can get stopped with an ounce of pure cocaine. He might get a slap on the wrist, he might get some counseling, and he might get a year. But a black man gets caught with 5 rocks, and he's subject to get the book thrown at him. 20 years. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Statistics say it for himself that I'm right. Don't go over the black demographics over there, because a lot of you content creators like to use that as your Bible of trying to prove me wrong. Stop using black demographics. Okay? Somewhere there's a little dude that's working for the manosphere that be uploading shit every day over there. And you folks fall for it. The BGSs of the world, y'all use that like it's the doggone Bible. But anyway, let's get some more of this Tucker Carlson up off in this crazy interview. I'm asking you folks, is Kanye West making any sense to you? Is he making any sense?
The answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so? And I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad...
Isn't that exactly what you're doing, Kanye West? The very thing that you just said is what you're doing by wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt. You are using the narrative of that white America is using. No, it's not only black life that matter. All lives matter. But Kanye West, we're not using Black Lives Matter to say that white lives don't matter. That's not why we're doing this. That's exactly not why. Here, let's go back.
Grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against, he went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom, when the school suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers, like no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife, they have people that are around them at all times telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens, right. It's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
You're absolutely right. Everybody does have an opinion. There's no doubt about that. Everyone has an opinion. But Kanye, the point of the matter is, what everyone is trying to say to you is, it's not that we don't value your opinion, it's that your opinion has no validity. Because if I go back and replay everything that you just said in that montage just now, it was from the start of the video to the end of the video, it was a direct contrast to who and what you say you believe in. And one minute you're talking about the ills of black people, and the next minute you're talking about the ills of white people. Which one is it? Whose side are you on? For 1 minute you're saying that white supremacy has definitely affected black folks, and then you're going what gets me is you're going to say that when it comes to black excellence and black brilliance, your mother was, I'm not disputing that. But then you say Kim Kardashian was a great white woman. Kim Kardashian ain't white. She's Armenian. So that's my point. And this is a lot of things that we talk about sometimes, folks, when white America is quick to incorporate different races when they need to.
So a conversation like this is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out. Mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things, and the consequences for not doing that are very severe. So for him to come out and say all lives matter, obviously, is a huge threat to a lot of people. Who are those people exactly? Well, we asked him, and he told us. That's next. Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube. So a conversation like this is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out. Mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things, and the consequences for not doing that are very severe. So for him to come out and say all lives matter, obviously, is a huge threat to a lot of people. Who are those people exactly? Well, we asked him, and he told us. That's next.
Well, I'd like to know, who are those people? And what a better way for Tucker Carlson to say that, because I'm going to use his words. Kanye West, you're used as a pawn on this particular channel. They're using your black face to make it palatable for those folks over there to understand that what we're feeling about Black America is okay. Because look, there's one of them saying the very same things that we're thinking about. It's one of them over there talking just like us. It's one of them that's saying, like Candace Owens. Let me ask you something though, Kanye, before we move on to this next clip here. If you wasn't trying to drum up controversy, why would you use Candace Owens as a model? If you only cared about your opinion on abortion stance and an all-white life stance, why would you use Candace Owens? You wanted to invoke conversation as what controversy makes the day. Controversy sells the day. I hate to say it about us black people, but we love train wrecks. And Kanye West, my friend, you are a train wreck. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are definitely a train wreck. You are an accident waiting to happen. You are an accident that's going to show white America. See? We told y'all. You give a little bit of them some money and some power, next thing you know, they start acting like this. You throw Kim Kardashian in our face, which in this next clip, you throw her in our face like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You called her white woman in your Tucker Carlson interview a couple of times. She is not white. You say she's a woman of high morality and standards, but yet I can go on to Pornhub and find about 3 porn videos of her. You say she's a woman of action and faction, but yet she basically, without her audience, she's basically nothing. You say that the media sexualizes and objectifies her, but have you ever seen Kim Kardashian without her boobs out, folks? Have you ever seen her without something on that's so skin tight that it shows her complete? Nothing wrong with that. Hey, but don't come in here trying to act like she's holy and thou. That's my point to you. Let's get to this next clip.
Examples throughout history where people were misunderstood in their time. I need to be able to actualize these things that are 20 years ahead and bring them to people in real life. The world needs to enjoy what's in my imagination.
Do you feel like most people don't get it? Like you're trying to always over-explain what's obvious to you and most people just don't feel or understand?
Yes.
For decades, Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has engineered his imagination into an empire. One that includes 24 Grammys, more than 80 platinum singles, and a fashion business valued in the billions. But for all his accolades and achievements, Ye has recently grabbed headlines for his social media outbursts. His latest targets, Gap and Adidas.
Ye and his apparel company Yeezy recently refused to collaborate further with the Gap, and they're now threatening to do the same with Adidas, jeopardizing deals that could be worth billions of dollars. It was supposed to be a 10-year deal. Why did you want to terminate it?
You know, it's those nuances where people act like they your daddy or something. Like they will be like, shut.
The reason why I don't want to make $100 million is because these folks treat you like their daddy. Well, let me ask you, Kanye, if all you other would-be from the 80s and from the 90s, the hoodies are it's just that, a hoodie. I can go get me a hoodie from Walmart. So basically, Kanye, folks are not buying, they're not paying for the hoodie. They're paying because your name is associated with this hoodie. And as you said earlier, as a business person, you have a responsibility to your constituents and your public and your stockholders to produce. At no point in time, I think in a stockholders meeting, Kanye West, you will stand up and say, y'all not gonna talk to me, y'all ain't my daddy. That's when keeping it real went wrong. Dave Chappelle told you that. Next thing you know, you'll be out at the car wash with a spray bottle and a squeegee in your hand. Because keeping it real went wrong for you. But that's how you started off, so let's see what else you're gonna talk about. Y'all listen.
I said so.
Yeezy, Ye's streetwear company, famous for its avant-garde sneaker and apparel designs, originally struck multi-year agreements with Adidas and Gap to develop and sell new co-branded merchandise, but those relationships soured.
You did use social media to show all the restrictions that Adidas and Gap have put on you. So how do you move forward now in the fashion industry when they're saying you can't even not only show Yeezy products, but anything bearing that likeness?
Oh, we got some new lawyers. We pull up.
I'm sorry, I just looked back into the chat room. Put a 1 down in the chat room if you're still hearing me. I just peeked into there and I see Gigi, you say you're having some problems. Put a 1 down in the lounge if everything's okay for you. But in the meantime, I'll go back to it. Let me peek on the other side and see what's going on. My apologies, folks. I was so wrapped up in what I was doing on this side, I forgot to peek in.
We really had to level up and show them who's the new boss in town, that I'm the boss of me. So I'm not just the mascot in the middle of games, getting the crowd hyped up saying, hey, wear this, do this.
So social media, you feel, is that more hurtful or beneficial to you?
That's one of my favorite questions this interview. I mean, we can use a car to rush somebody to the hospital, or we could use a car and accidentally hit somebody while we're rushing somebody to the hospital. So it's all in how we use it.
His problems aren't limited to business. The father of 4 still going through a bitter divorce and a drawn-out custody battle with reality star Kim Kardashian, who he married in 2014.
This is the mother of my children, and I apologize for any stress that I have caused, even in my frustration, because God calls me to be stronger. But also, ain't nobody else finna be causing no stress either. I need this person to be least stress and a best sound mind and as calm as possible to be able to raise those children.
Well, let me ask you, Kanye, how is she supposed to do that when her whole idea about who she is, her whole identity is based on reality? Did you hear how they introduced your wife as a reality star? Not as a businesswoman, as a reality star. So let me ask you, if you want her to be on the less stressful side of things, shouldn't you start that? Or shouldn't you start eliminating those things like that? But again, you can't decide what your ex-wife does. So now you can understand why some people think that by moving, me personally, I would never move next door to my ex-wife. Ain't no way in God's green earth. You an ex-wife for a reason. Not me. We didn't get along. Why would I want to look out my door every morning and see you? Suppose I want me another fur line. I got to see you. I got to sneak her past you because you gonna beat on my dude. What's the name of the movie? With the Eddie Murphy movie, when Gina was over the fence. Hey, girlfriend, you remember that?
Former couple is now trying to co-parent their children. Son Psalm, age 3, and Saint, age 6, and daughters Chicago, age 4, and North, age 9.
And I hear, do you coach North's basketball team?
Yeah, this was so moving and so important to me. A couple days ago, I got to see my daughter's improvement in basketball. The first season, just kind of not knowing what to do. You know, as far as co-parenting goes, I put my foot down with Kim and I said, I learned how to play basketball in a summer and came back and won championships. So I, as her dad, am gonna go and I'm gonna coach her every morning. She trained every day and I really stayed on her. And when she came back, she had the confidence.
I'm curious what your influence is with your children. If you make sure they have one lesson that you're able to instill, what that might be.
Follow God and all the visions and all the dreams and the ideas that He's given me and my children and Kim as visionaries, right? Because
does this sound like a guy that has let his relationship go? The fact that that failed relationship's not over. That's why I wanted you folks to see this part of it. He's not well. He has not got over Kim Kardashian yet. He still thinks that he can run her household. He still thinks he is the #1 guy. Remember, there was a video of him making a meme of Kim's latest boyfriend. I don't know whether it's boyfriend 12, 13, 14, 15 or whatever, but him, they were still married and she was shacking up with Pete Davidson. So when did the relationship start? Kanye, these are the questions. Instead of getting in the public atmosphere threatening someone, these are the questions that you should have asked your then wife in private. Now, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to be the coach of your daughter's basketball team. But again, do you think honestly, without your wealth, that someone would have stepped aside and allowed you to be the coach of that team? Honestly. I don't. What credentials do you have to say that you are a legitimate person other than a daughter, a son, or a dad taught you how to play basketball? Is that your only credentials of being a basketball coach? Really? That's what I say, folks. These celebrities, they can get on these streams and say anything they want. They can get on these news streams and say anything that they want to. But if you look at it in entirety, it's all BS.
we've invented so many things that are relevant to where society is today. All of those things, the more we lean in and the more we follow God and the more obedient we are, the more He's going to bless us and bring it to the table.
Do you feel you have a voice as you're co-parenting now?
I do have a voice, but I had to fight for it. That hurts you when you have to like scream about what your kids are wearing, what they're watching, what they're eating. And it's just little nuances where there was a parallel to what was happening at Gap, what was happening at Adidas, and what was happening in my home. It was all
Well, again, Kanye, I'll ask you, why we only knew about this after you and Kim decided to divorce? Why was you not taking this stance against Kim and how she was raising your children before that? Because it's obvious that Gap and these other places didn't just contact her after you folks were divorced or separated. So why did it make sense for her to send her children to model or you to go model in these places when y'all were married, but it doesn't make sense now, Kanye? Why you want to tighten the reins now when you're out of the home? When you were okay with it when you were in the home? Because I saw some of the episodes. Like I say, I do my homework. I saw some of the episodes of where your children were featured on that Kardashian show or whatever network that's in. I saw some of them. No, I'm not saying that your wife or your ex-wife is exploiting your children by no stretch of the imagination, but I can tell you, my children would not be doing some of the things that Kim Kardashian has her children doing. I can tell you that. And I think a whole lot of black parents that feel the same way. Now, there's some select few that don't mind dressing their children up in makeup and making them look to be grown. There's some black folks that don't mind doing that. But if you look at the overall structure of the Kardashians, you should have known that's what you was going into. Makeup is a key function, is a key tool to them. So much so they've even put up products behind eyeshadow and makeup. So you should have known that eventually your children was going to be a part of that. They started young in the modeling career. Go back and look. Go back and look at the two younger daughters. See if they weren't being dressed up at 9, 10, 11 years old. So that's something that happens in that family. You didn't do your homework? I didn't marry Kim, but I know that. Sorry.
Disregard for the voice of something that I co-created. I co-created the children. I co-created the product at Adidas. I co-created the product at Gap. There's a parallel. And the parallel does touch on discrimination.
Even within your marriage?
Yeah. I want my kids to go to Donda, and I have to fight for a say-so.
Donda Academy is a private school near Los Angeles that he created and named after his beloved late mother, Donda West.
Both my parents are educators, but my mother was the first black female chair of the English department at Chicago State University, and she was a Fulbright scholar.
My colleague Terry Moran interviewed Donda for Nightline just months before her sudden death in 2007.
Then you were a single mom raising
Yes.
How was that?
A single mom.
How'd you do that?
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was a challenge, but when you have challenges, that's what makes life worth living, right? Kanye was a great kid, even with all the...
He was a good boy?
Oh, he was a very good boy.
That surprises us today.
Yeah, he was a very good boy. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't...
Now, see what I'm talking about? Even back in the interviews with his mother, long before Kanye was the success that he is, he never spoke of his father. I'm glad you pointed that out, because she even says herself, I was a single mother. So when did all of a sudden, not to saying that people can't rekindle their relationships, I'm not saying that by no stretch of the imagination, but when did Kanye's father become such an influence in his life? When clearly the woman says, I was a single parent.
Get into his share of trouble, and he would always challenge you, and you needed to be on your toes.
Ye is hoping to pass the lessons he learned from his mother to the students at Donda Academy.
How many students do you have enrolled?
We're on our third year. We have 82 students.
Give me a sense of why you decided you wanted to create a school and what the mission is.
You know, to be a performing arts school, to be a design school, an architecture school, a farming school, automotive engineering school, a computer hardware and software school, financial engineering, not just financial literacy, and also to teach the gospel. And that is Donda.
He says he leans heavily into his faith for all aspects of his life.
People always want to know, I think, about your mental health. You know, you've talked before about how you were diagnosed as bipolar.
You know what? I think that this idea, this concept of mental health being this big subject is straight up media propaganda to diminish people that are not coloring inside the lines. We just accept this kind of idea of people saying like, hey, we want to talk about your mental health. And it's almost like if a white person said to a black person, hey, we want to talk about your blackness. And one of the things about the whole mental health conversation is even a crazy person can call you crazy.
His next task at hand, rebranding Yeezy, the fashion line known for high-end items like $300 tank tops.
But is that going to be affordable and accessible for people? Because I know some of your sneakers are thousands of dollars.
I mean, if it's up to Meezy, Yeezy would be freezy. You know, Meezy.
People who are going to walk in off the street, can they buy something for 30 bucks?
20.
20 will get me a t-shirt?
Get you 4 t-shirts.
So it's going to be very accessible.
Very accessible.
Very affordable.
Very affordable. It's a start. We haven't got quite to free yet. Got to keep the lights on. We got to keep all these unnecessary in the middle of the day lights on.
He also wants to sell directly to consumers, an idea that he ridiculed back in 2013 during an interview with SiriusXM host Sway Calloway.
Or why don't you empower yourself and don't need them and do it yourself?
How, Sway?
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man.
So Sway, almost 10 years ago, said, man, why don't you do it on your own? Was he right?
You know what? I will go ahead and say Sway had the answer. I know people are going to be like, no. Sway, you did have the answer.
Today, the artist leans on other famous names for business advice.
I remember Elon Musk. Did I drop that name slow enough and heavy enough? Name drop. I said, Elon, I just want to do deals like you, big bro. And he said, I don't do deals, I buy things.
His ambitions go far beyond the boardroom.
I'm actually curious because obviously you did run for president in 2020. Do you have future political aspirations?
Yes, absolutely. The aspirations, you know, that time wasn't in God's time. I'm sure God had me fall on the sword and say, this is not the time.
But Ye says he isn't finished yet.
People write off the fact that I'm going to change the world. They just think it's crazy.
How are you going to change the world?
More? How are we going to change the world more?
More.
We're going to change the world through information, through knowledge, through love, through respect, through understanding.
Kanye up top, Kanye!
Right now, Ye is, can you finish that sentence?
Tired of doing the interview.
All right, then let's finish. That's it. That's it.
Well, folks, all I'm going to say about Kanye West, he's an interesting character. Whether you like him or dislike him, I got to say that he has his good points and his bad points. But I'm here not to discuss his good points right now. It's good that you remembered your mother. It's good that you created a foundation that honors your mother. I wish more of us did that. But the mere fact of what I'm saying is, Kanye, there's so many other places in the black community that your mother would be so proud of you. Because let's look at your clothing line in particular. The average young black kid cannot afford your tennis shoes. The average young black kid cannot afford your brand, your style of clothes. That's just bottom line to it. Correct me if I'm wrong. It cannot. So if you want to do good in the neighborhood, as they say, if you want to be remembered in the neighborhood, if you want to change things through information and also through action, start the places where you said that's most important to you. Atlanta and Chicago, because you was born in Atlanta and you grew up in Chicago. You blame a whole lot of people for the trials and tribulations of what your mother went through. But to me, your stream should have been, if you wanted to talk about your success, you could have done it without using the shame, blame, and explain like they normally do. That's what, I dare I say it, you act like those folks over in the manosphere instead of giving credit where credit's due. And your mother, raising a single kid to become world renowned, famous, wealthy. But for the most of us, Kanye West, I'll say this. It's not about the money, because I guarantee you, as the average black person, they will say, I don't really want fame. I just want enough money to be able to go into Walmart or one of these other stores and know I can afford anything on the shelf. That's what I think most black folks would say. So start there. Instead of always running up on Kim, talking about what she's doing with her children, because like I said before, that wasn't in your vernacular. You didn't talk about the ills of the child support system. You didn't do that. All right, folks, I got one more particular stream that I want to listen to, and this one is The Woman King, what they got factually right and wrong. We're going to close it up with this one. So let's start it right about here. And this by mojo.com. If you don't know, folks, I tell you what, they do a lot of things that's on the top 10, everything from music to historical facts. So they dig deep. So I'm using them as, you know, as they say, fact check me, because they dig deep. Here we go.
You are called to join the King's Guard.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo. And today we're looking at the things the Woman King got factually right and wrong.
We are the spear of victory! We are the blade of freedom!
For this list, we're looking at key details and plot points from this epic historical film that are factually accurate, as well as the creative liberties taken by the filmmakers.
Hey, Zero, how you doing,
Since we will be discussing plot details, a spoiler alert is now in effect. What was your favorite part of The Woman King? Let us know in the comments. The characters' accents. Wrong. Hollywood films have long been criticized for their egregious misrepresentation of accents from African countries.
It is our cause. It is for all of us.
Oh, us. Us. You are the first king to come here in centuries, and now you speak of us.
Criticism similar to that which plagued movies like 2015's Concussion and Marvel's Black Panther resurfaced when the trailer for The Woman King was released. And while the performances in the eventual film were a little easier to swallow, one glaring blunder was the sheer variation in the characters' accents.
Aneska, you're asking me to take them to war.
Some things are worth fighting for.
King Gezo's John Boyega said to Men's Health that he'd use his parents' Nigerian accent. Naoi's Tusu Mbedu sounded more like she was speaking with her native South African cadence, while Viola Davis largely relied on Hollywood's generic African accent. While we don't expect things to be 100% accurate, some consistency in the speech patterns would have gone a long way.
A lot of black men, a lot of black women coming together, collaborating, despite language barriers, despite cultural barriers, because they're all kind of dedicated and determined by this one goal that brings them together.
The Kingdom of Dahomey under Oyo control. Right. The relationship between...
Wait a minute, he sounds British. But before we go any further here, I wanted to stop it right there, and I'm glad I did. Let me see if I can get this back.
The Kingdom of Dahomey and their neighbor received a pretty accurate representation in the movie.
With consistent conquest, by 1727, Dahomey had become a regional power. From then on, the kingdom was at frequent warfare against the Oyo Empire.
The Kingdom of Dahomey and their neighbor received a pretty...
There we go. What happened in the kingdom, the Dahomey Kingdom? Is there some historical fact to this movie? Absolutely it is. A lot of folks, from what I understand, there's more white folks upset about this movie, even though black folks are upset about it. And again, I never understood the concept of a woman king, but, you know, after going back and looking at his historical content, I guess we, as Americans, are using king and queen in the wrong context, not these folks. I mean, because she was a ruler by no stretch of the imagination. I mean, the homies were heavily into the slave trade, and that's the part about, I guess, the CRT and some black folks don't want you to recognize. They did sell some of their brothers and sisters down the street, but again, folks, that's in all cultures, not just black cultures. The Romans sold folks. The Egyptians sold folks. The Norwegians sold folks. The Vikings sold folks. Everybody who took slaves either sold them or used them at their leisure. So black folks are not the only one. So I can understand why folks are so upset about this movie when actually and factually so far, minus the accents, correct.
Accurate representation in the movie.
With consistent conquest, by 1727, Dahomey had become a regional power. From then on, the kingdom was at frequent warfare against the Oyo Empire, which was another great empire in the region.
In the 1730s, after a bloody war against Oyo, Dahomey became one of their tributary states. This meant having to offer some of their people annually as tributes to their Oyo overlords, which was well portrayed in The Woman King. However, when the real-life King Gezo became Dahomey's ruler in 1818, he sought to put an end to that.
Our ancestors weep for the pain we have felt in the dark hulls of ships bound for distant shores.
In 1823, the year in which the movie is set, Gezo led the Agoji and the rest of the Dahomeyan army against Oyo soldiers. Just like in the movie, they won this battle, bringing a permanent end to their tributary status.
Our ancestors demand we rip the shackles of doubt from our minds and fight with courage. We fight not just for today, but for the future.
Recruitment into the Agoji. Right. As one of the primary army factions of the Kingdom of Dahomey, the Agoji at their peak reportedly numbered more than 6,000. To get this many female soldiers, women were recruited from all nooks and crannies of the kingdom.
From captain.
Well, there goes that argument that the manosphere always wants to put up again, that black women can never be warriors. Long before, long before you folks from the manosphere was ever around, there was a group of 6,000 black women that they recruited from all regions. Did you hear that? So that's historically correct. You can't argue with facts. You can try and dilute them or change them, but eventually, like Tupac said, truth needs no alibi. It stands alone. So again, black people, I'm asking you, black women, because you were the predominant ones to be upset about this, even though I heard some black men scoffing. Now, I was one of them until I actually went and saw and did my history. Then I can understand. I don't agree with the title. I would have just named it Woman Queen, the Conqueror, like Red Sonja or something like that. Woman Queen, the Black Conqueror or something like that. But I wouldn't have called it Woman King, even though she was a bona fide leader. Or, what's it, one of them men dressed up? Nah, I'm just kidding, come on. I'm just kidding, stop it.
From the ranks of the king's wives, or involuntarily if relatives complained about their behavior.
In The Woman King, one of the central characters, Nawi, joins the Agoji after she's offered to the king by her father because of her apparent bad behavior.
Were you this arrogant with your family? No wonder they gave you away.
This was a common occurrence, as leaders of the Dahomey Agoji sought out particularly rebellious women to join their ranks. Involuntary recruits were also obtained from foreign captives, while free Dahomeyan women were allowed to enroll voluntarily, with some joining from as early as 8 years old.
I want to be with the others. I want to fight for my king.
Agoji preference of palm oil trade over behavior.
Were you this arrogant with your family? No wonder they gave you away.
This was a common occurrence, as leaders of the Dahomey Agoji sought out particularly rebellious women to join their ranks. Involuntary recruits were also obtained from foreign captives, while free Dahomeyan women were allowed to enroll voluntarily, with some joining from as early as 8 years old.
Well, some joining as early as 8 years old. So again, manosphere and a few of you other folks over there that argue these points that some children are not more intellectually stable and not more advanced than other children. Think about this. There was women in Africa young girls that decided the best place for them was to join a group of women to fight for a common cause as early as 8 years old. You heard them say that was truth. That's been historically proven. But again, those folks over in the manosphere will argue these points with me. If I had a panel up right now, they would be saying, oh, like you said, Zero, they would be calling me a simp. They would be calling me, you don't know what you're talking about. They would be saying this, they would be saying that. Or you're out of date, you're out of touch, you're out of time with reality. I wasn't born in 1733. So I didn't make that up. I'm only reporting the news. I don't give a dang if I was 18 or 105. I wasn't born in 1773.
Gold.
I want to be with the others. I want to fight for my king.
Agoji preference of palm oil trade over slave trade. Right. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Dahomey thrived on the Atlantic.
Another dispelled myth, that the Dahomeys were primarily slave traders. You heard it for yourself. They were more into palm oil than they were human cargo. Again, I didn't say that, but these are the arguments that these folks in these YouTube streets are giving you to why the Woman King is not a movie to be taken serious. It's only drummed up by Hollywood, but so far, not only can you go and check out these facts that are correct, you can also check out the ones that are wrong. All you have to do is go and look up the Dahomey as a tribe itself and start reading from there. Read, nigga, read.
The Atlantic slave trade. But by the 1840s, the British had abolished the practice and made it difficult for Dahomey to continue the trade.
They began to seek monopolist control over Dahomey and West Africa as a whole. Dahomey and Oyo now had new enemies.
At that time, the kingdom was split into two political parties. The Elephant Party, consisting of the king, wealthy traders, and male military officers, went against England's wishes, while the Fly Party, made up of the Agoji and lower-level traders, favored palm oil trading in a bid to maintain a strong business relationship with England. This validates the stance of the fictional Naniska in The Woman King, who proffers palm oil to Gezo as an alternative to slave trade. Although her vehement opposition to the practice in the film is a little unrealistic.
When the wind blows, our ancestors push us to march into battle against those who enslave us.
The violent history of the Dahomey Kingdom. Wrong. Since The Woman King is only inspired by true events, it takes creative license in retelling the story of the Dahomey Kingdom. Because of this, most of the atrocities committed by the Agoji at the behest of King Gezo are glossed over.
Need for a defense against nearby slave-raiding states, and the need to collaborate with Europeans and other Africans to guarantee the safety of their children caused them to perpetuate the very thing they were trying to avoid.
In the film, the Agoji are portrayed as fierce protectors of their land. And while this is true, it only paints half the picture.
Are we trying to cook? You are cutting a body, not a yam.
The all-female unit actively invaded neighboring towns, capturing their citizens and leaving many dead in their wake. They were also known to raze such villages to the ground. The Dahomey people reportedly also conducted an annual customs ceremony, where they routinely offered up to 500 prisoners as a human sacrifice to their ancestors.
The kings unfortunately viewed these killings as humanitarian, and to justify these acts to their people, they claimed that such rituals were required to guarantee their continued strength, vitality, and courage.
Again, folks, even back then, I'm sure those folks had no idea what the word charisma meant. But again, think about this. You had to convince a whole lot of people that killing 500 people was a necessary evil. Just as Jim Jones did, just as Adolf Hitler did, just as so many other folks folks that's been the leaders of atrocities. Mussolini, the list goes on. What's his name over there in Korea? Actually, you can even throw the Queen into that, because we know she was in power for 70 years. So we can go back to some of the direct atrocities that the Queen herself was representative of. Just saying. But again, the detractors and the naysayers of this film will say that it does not portray these women accurately, and it does. They did raid other. They did raid other villages. They did hold human sacrifices. The king was ruthless, but you also said, and you heard her also say that in the need to protect their own sometime, they had to amp up what they were doing. So I ain't mad at them on that, but I can't go with the just killing folks just because. I ain't with that part. But I understand. You know, dealing with the British is the lesser of two evils, just like us in this country dealing with Trump back in 2016, the lesser of two evils. Which one you want? Dealing with Trump and Biden, the lesser of two evils. We now find out all the atrocities that Trump is committing, but the American population and the American public as a whole will refuse to hold him accountable. So much so, they've threatened civil war. If Trump is convicted of anything, is that any difference to what these folks are doing? History repeats itself in so many ways, but so why are you folks so upset about the Woman King other than the title? That's the only thing that bothered me, was the title. The actors didn't bother me, because it's historically fact, again, that these women was a band of warriors. Or warriorettes, however you want to call them. Either way, they was kicking ass.
To rule.
The existence of the Agoge. Right. The powerful all-female team of warriors featured in The Woman King is indeed based on the real-life Agoge.
The primary thing that draws our attention to Dahomey, and the thing that has given them world fame, was the power of women in that kingdom.
While it's not known when exactly the Agoge was formed, their origin dates back to a group of elephant hunters formed in the 1600s under the rule of King Hoegbaja. It was Queen Hangbe, Hoegbaja's daughter and successor, who first designated them as bodyguards of the crown.
One European visitor to the palace reported that the guardhouse held about 40 women, armed with a musket and cutlass each. Certainly Agaja's successor had women soldiers and palace guards, as he was reported to be guarded only by his wives, who numbered 2,000 or 3,000.
As seen in the movie, under King Gezo, the Agoge became more combatant and increased in strength, ballooning from a few hundred to about 6,000 women. It's believed that the adoption of the Agoge into Dahomey's army was due to a significant loss of their male population in previous battles.
In a world where women are usually subservient or deferential to men, this marked an extraordinary development in human history.
Celibacy of the Agoge. Right. In The Woman King, the young Nawi takes a liking to the half-Dahomean, half-Portuguese Malik, but soon learns that all Agoge are expected to remain chaste.
I see you flirting.
Well, ain't so much for clapping them cheeks on that one, huh, Shar? You can chase, but you ain't getting none. That's all you can do. But again, the historical things that they pointed out that were absolutely true about these Dahomean people. So I will say this. If you folks remember, there's a group of books out, they called, the pimp's name was Iceberg Slim. And I think Iceberg Slim, or one of these guys from out of San Francisco, whatever, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he went to Las Vegas. And when he got to Las Vegas, the local pimp took his... I'm sorry, folks. I should have turned this phone down a little bit later on. But anyway, I should have turned this phone down later on. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Matter of fact, let me put it on silent right now, because I try to tell folks that I'm doing a video and they just keep calling anyway. And actually, Wrong phone. That's what I'm doing. I turned one down, then turned the other one down. Hold on, sir. Need to change that ringtone too. Yep. Hold on. Anyway, that might work. So I just hope it don't ring anymore. I'm having problems with it. But we're almost through here anyway, ladies and gentlemen. So, but anyway, I forgot where I was at. But back to the Dahomian people and Iceberg Slim. Iceberg Slim took a whole bunch of women of the night out to Las Vegas. The local pimp took all the chicks. Iceberg Slim said, you know what? I ain't worried about that. I'm going to go back and get a whole lot of them. So he actually, and if you go back and read some of the books of Iceberg Slim, he actually references the Dahomian people, that this band of women went in and took over the whole doggone city. And that's what he did with the second group of female workers of the night. They literally took over the Las Vegas Strip. I know it's kind of a little bit but you know basically what I'm trying to say. But anyway.
This is not allowed?
You know it is not.
This is one detail the film gets absolutely right. Upon taking their oath of service, the real-life Agoji were in fact not allowed to get married to any man.
The men who are soldiers have wives and children, but the Agoji cannot. How is that fair?
This is because they were formally considered to be the wives of the king.
A household squadron of women was said to accompany the Dahomey kings everywhere in the late 18th century.
Since they never shared his bed or got intimate with him, this meant that the Agoji soldiers essentially took a vow of celibacy. While this rule was strictly adhered to, it is documented that a lot of them also explored romantic relationships with each other. The real-life figures. Right. As a historical film, The Woman King does its best to represent an actual era in the history of the Dahomey Kingdom.
No kingdom in all of Africa shares this privilege.
While some characters are entirely fictional, others were based on, or at least loosely inspired by real people. Most notable is Gezo, the young, recently enthroned king played by John Boyega. Gezo ruled Dahomey from 1818 to 1859, after overthrowing his brother from the position. Although Naniska and Naui as portrayed in the movie never existed, they were named after documented female warriors. Naniska was also possibly modeled after real-life Agoji generals like General Sedong Hongbe. The Brazilian slave trader in the movie, Santo Ferreira, was also likely inspired by an historical counterpart who was key in Gezo's rise to power.
While the historical record is thin, he seems to have overthrown his brother with the help of the powerful Portuguese-Brazilian slave trader Francisco Felix de Souza.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified.
Well, anyway, folks, if you wanna know how to follow mojo.com, I put the link down in the description. It's almost time for me to get on up out of here. Got ready to go and walk these animals here. That's right, I'm doing a little dog sitting right about now. Boy, I tell you. But anyway, folks, you know, like I said, I don't really have the problem with the Woman King as some folks, you know, they do streams and streams about how historically incorrect, or, you know, here it is, just another example of them trying to build up the black women. First of all, it's a historical fact. None of these women were made up. It's actually a fact that there was a band of women, there was an army of women that went in and raided and kicked butt. That's true. They didn't make it up. There was a king. That was a part of black history, that where black people did sell black people into slavery. Yes, they did. There's no doubt in that. There's also a point in time to where black people did use human sacrifices, usually of the folks that they conquered and captured. There's no doubt about that. So what part of the historical facts discredits the line, the Woman King? Which one? Again, folks, I want to thank everybody so very much for hanging out there with me. I tried to keep this to, you know, to a minimum. Had a few glitches in there, not those kind of glitches, but you know what I'm saying. And thank you, Char Willie, and thank you, Gigi, and thank you, Zero, and a whole host of other folks that stopped on in. Again, y'all check me out each and every Sunday and Monday at 7 to 10 p.m. for Say It Loud, the Music Cafe, and also Denise Gray presents the Indie Artist Show, the Jazz Indie Artist Show, Mondays from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope everybody's cool. I got to get on up out of here. Remember, folks, like I always say on my radio station, the grace of the day costs you absolutely nothing. Say hello to someone. Might change the way they're thinking. Might change the way they're living. You never know. If you walk past them, don't say hello. Like, share, leave a comment if you want to. Thank you so very much. Y'all have a great day.